My BF is upset with me over something that happened before we were dating. Thoughts? Last night, my boyfriend, of 4 months, sat me down and asked if I hooked up with someone during a trip I went on before we started dating. I told him no, but he didn't believe me. I've always been open with him about my past and the people I was intimate with before we were together. He knew I saw someone during that time, so I told him the truth. I went to dinner with this person, and it ended with us at a hotel, but we were not intimate. He's now saying I'm lying, and even said we need to take a break from our relationship because of this. I feel like that's unnecessary, especially because this happened before we were even dating. He had told me I was single and could do whatever I wanted, and I did. Now months later says this was a test. I don't think I needed to tell him about that dinner, because it wasn't anything serious or intimate, but I did tell him the truth when he asked. However, he is mad I didn't include it in the list of 2 men I told him about that I was intimate with during the time we weren't dating. On the flip side, he also did not tell me about all the dates he went on, or times he hung out with girls one-on-one in the period before we were dating, and didn't tell the truth about. There is one in particular. I confronted him about it earlier this week after I found out. He admitted it was before we were dating, and I let it go because it wasn't relevant to our relationship. It was not even an argument, I just let it roll off my shoulders. He now wants me to text the guy I went to dinner with a few weeks before we were dating off my phone and ask him about that night. I don't feel comfortable with that. It feels invasive and unnecessary, especially since I don't have that guy's contact info, and I don't keep in touch with him or follow him on social media. I met him through my best friend's boyfriend, and I just don't think it's appropriate to ask him to get involved in this. My boyfriend continued to threaten our relationship again, saying if I left his house, we'd be done for good. After telling me to leave, I tried to leave, but he insisted I stay because it was too dangerous for me to drive home. The double standard is crazy. I stayed, but ended up crying for hours in the guest room. To add to this, he also brought up a message I sent to another guy I was intimate with at that time, again before we were dating. Someone I had told him the truth about seeing from the beginning, who again I have not spoken to or have on social media at all since me and my boyfriend became official. He tried to pin something else on me with the same intention. It turned out the messages were literally from my cousin. I had sent him my address because my family was in town and he was picking up my cousin and I've done nothing but be loyal, loving, and honest since we started dating. I haven't talked to any man in that way, or form, since the day he asked me to be his girlfriend. Because I only wanted him. I really don't think he is cheating, maybe he wants to, but I feel like he's projecting something onto me that isn't there. His friend at work also just recently cheated, so maybe he's trying to pretend he is going through something too, or maybe he just wants out of the relationship. I honestly don't know. I do not know how long he has been holding on to all of this since again I don't have anything on my phone/social media. All of this is happening literally right after we had sex, just a week after I had an abortion, and a day after he met my family. The timing feels off, and I'm already an emotional wreck from the abortion, which he knows, so bringing all of this up now feels insane. I've been open and honest with him, and I feel like all of this is an overreaction to things that happened before we even started dating, and he told me to be single. I'm at a loss for what to do next. When I went to leave his house this morning, he got upset when I did not say goodbye to him at first, but when I did he proceeded to tell me we were still not together and he needs space. He is currently on read after asking if I got to work okay. I feel emotionally drained, confused, and hurt by the way he's handling this. He refuses to acknowledge I'm his girlfriend, and insists he needs a break to think about things. Second story, misunderstandings, gaslighting, communication? Last night I, 33M, and my GF, 34F, got into a bit of an argument. The instigating moment occurred over video call but quickly moved to text. All was well and she started telling me how many calories she was under the recommended amount for a woman. She said she was still hungry earlier so had a protein yogurt, and later had another. I know she had only just bought quite a few protein and diet foods to stock up on. I can't remember exactly what I said but it was a remark about how she's going to go through them too quickly. I wasn't being serious when I said this as I don't care what she eats, it's her choice, and I've never indicated to her otherwise. I said it in a tone indicative of being a bit playful, but in a "I'm jokingly telling you off" way, if you know what I mean. She asks if I'm telling her off, so I say yes. Again, I'm smiling and not using a serious tone. She goes and looks quite put off, but I thought maybe she's playing alone, but just in case I ask what? Hoping she'll either reveal she's playing along or she'll let me know if she doesn't like where the conversation went. She doesn't reply. I tell her I wasn't being serious, but she goes again. At this point she's not engaging even though I'm genuinely trying to resolve a potential issue, so I don't really know what to say. After a few moments of silence she says, "Well, I'm just going to go then," to which I really, bye. As we're hanging up, she says child in a snarky tone. After a minute I try calling but she declined, so I send a message. In it I explain I've never commented on what or how much she can eat and that from my view it seemed clear I wasn't being serious. Also I recount how she didn't communicate or engage, so I had nothing to work with, despite initially trying to spark a conversation about it, and call her out for her snarky remark at the end. I say I don't want to argue, can we talk? Cue her accusing me of gaslighting her and being rude, doubling down on calling me a child and accusing me of spinning things to make her look bad. I understand how she interpreted my initial comments about her eating 2 yogurts as accusing her of eating too much. However, it was more about making the ones she bought last, and I wasn't being serious about it anyway. I reply, "I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was being rude." She sends 2 voice notes saying how she doesn't get how I couldn't have realized I was rude, and that I should have realized straight away she was upset, as in not playing along. She says I dismissed her feeling by saying I was messing around. What I was trying to do is show a lack of intent to upset. According to her I said, "It's not serious," not "I'm not being serious," which I don't think I did, but I apologize for as I may have misremembered or misspoke. I tell her I can see why she didn't like what I said and that I could have acknowledged her feelings better initially. Then she says I'm in a mood with her because she's not rolling over and saying it's her own fault. How can I approach moving forward from this argument? My F21 boyfriend, M22, agreed with his dad when he called me ugly. Now what? Update below. Anonymous account because my boyfriend, X, knows I use Reddit. For context, I have struggled with acne my entire life. It has improved a lot since I was younger, but it's still obvious. I met his dad for the first time yesterday, and we hung out with a huge group of his friends, most of which I've met before. I stayed the night and left early because I had work and his responses today had been a little dry, so I figured something was up. We had planned for him to stay the night at my apartment Monday night because my apartment is much closer to the airport and he'd be leaving for a week. He then texts me that he wants to talk on Monday when he stays over, so of course I ask what about. He proceeds to tell me that my acne is a huge turn-off and his dad was making a lot of comments about it after I left and how it was ugly. Now obviously I blew up. More in my brain as I made my responses pretty civil. I'm more shocked at the audacity of not only him, but his dad. I'm just confused and hurt, and I don't know if it's even salvageable at this point. We've talked about my acne being my biggest insecurity before, and he reassured me that it wasn't an issue, so the fact that he's backtracking so hard now that his dad said something is just so hurtful. I'd love any advice on how to proceed with this relationship or if it's even worth salvaging at all. TLDR, boyfriend's dad thinks I'm ugly. Boyfriend proceeds to tell me his dad thinks I'm ugly and agrees. Update, broke up with him, his friends took my side, so I lost a loser and gained hot new friends. Comments, I'm guessing this is only a question because you're 21 years old. It shouldn't be a question because there's no salvaging a relationship with a person who tells you they're not attracted to you regardless of influence or not. You are completely disregarding your self-worth by even considering keeping this POS in your life. My advice, seriously, just ghost. I honestly am not about the whole ghosting thing. When relationships naturally begin to drift, then yes, have the tough conversation like a grown-up, but in situations like this, girl, that little boy doesn't deserve your time or energy. He used what he knows to be your biggest insecurity to make you feel like shit and admitted to lying to you. He somehow went from saying your acne issues don't bother him to now they're causing him to no longer be attracted to you after one visit with daddy. Leave anything he left in your apartment at his doorstep, block the biatch and move on. Empower girl. Protect your peace and don't for a second consider wasting your time and energy on little boys playing in grown-up clothes. The relationship is not worth saving. I am so sorry he said that to you and hurt you so viciously. He did not have to do that. His choice of words and the way he told you were cruel and unnecessary. He cares more about what his dad thinks than how he feels about you. This man, not much of, has literally told you that he values your physical beauty more than the person you are, and he is willing to insult, disparage, and hurt you to make himself feel okay about his choice. Ignore him and his dad. What they think about you is meaningless. This relationship is over. He told you so, but you need to end it. Don't call him, don't have a talk with him, and for sure, do not let him stay over at your apartment. He can get to the airport by his fucking self. His hateful, judgmental father can take him. Block him, don't talk to him, and move on with your life. You deserve better than him, and I promise you, it won't be hard to find.